You're listening to PetLifeRadio.com.
Hello and welcome to Working Like Dogs on Pet Life Radio. Thank you for joining us today. We're your hosts. My name is Marcy Davis, and my co-host is my trusty service dog, Whistle. And Whistle and I are thrilled to be with you today to talk about our favorite subject, working dogs and working animals. And today we're going to be visiting with Bob Vogel. And Bob is a journalist, photographer, and he's the senior correspondent for New Mobility magazine. So come right back after these quick messages as we welcome Bob Vogel to the show.
We'll be right back, right after these messages. Stay tuned.
Buster, you're telling me my dog food products can't go on your shelves?
That's right. Didn't pass one of my Petco certified nutrition checklists. Sorry, Wayne.
Who made these checklists?
Geniuses. Very smart guys.
Well, it's good enough for most grocery stores.
Do you see cheese puffs on my shelves? Mayonnaise? Soda pop?
No.
That's because I ain't running no grocery store, Wayne. Your pets will get better nutrition, I guarantee it. Petco, where healthy pets go.
Enter the code WORK10, W-O-R-K, the number 10, and get 10% off any order. No minimum at Petco.com.
Like your business to reach out and invite in our audience. We have a brand new trademark concept called InfoSeeds. InfoSeeds are short 20-second seeds of information about your place of business, practice, or service. Is the best, most cost-effective way to invite us in. We only have a limited number of slots left. For more information, visit the website
PetLifeRadio.com.
Click on sponsorship information. There you can listen to a sample of InfoSeed. Remember, only a limited number of opportunities are available.
Hi everybody, I'm Megan Blake here with my sidekick, Super Smiley, the giant mutt and spokes dog for throwaways. You're listening to Pet Life Radio, and I'd like to tell you about our brand new show, A Super Smiley Adventure. Our show explores adventures with animals. They can be traveling, out in the world trips, or inner journeys where our animals lead us to inspiration and self-discovery, or just plain fun adventures. Join us here on Pet Life Radio on A Super Smiley Adventure. Good boy.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back to Working Like Dogs on Pet Life Radio. Hello, Bob, and welcome to Working Like Dogs.
Hey, Marcy, thanks. It's exciting to be here.
Yeah, we're so glad you could be with us, and please introduce our listeners to your assistance dog, Shotzi.
Okay, this is Shotzi, and she is trained in German, although she's not trained to bark on command. So you'll just have to imagine a beautiful sable German Shepherd with a kind of a graying muzzle.
Oh, wow, she sounds beautiful. Where did you get Shotzi?
She's actually my second shepherd. My first one I trained myself, and after I lost him, I just didn't have the 2 years to go through it. So I looked all over the place for shepherd trainers, finally found a retired policeman that he was a canine cop for 16 years, got so good at dog training that he opened up his own training facility. Condensed version is, I said, I need a dog that's at least 2 or 3 years old. I know all the rules and regulations. Here's the commands and the temperament I need. Can you find me something? And it turned out one of the dogs he had sold to a family was such a strong working dog that it didn't fit in with the family. It needed constant attention. So it all worked out. He trained her, and she's been with me since 2005, and she's just phenomenal.
Wow. Well, what made you decide, Bob, to get an assistance dog?
Two things. I'm a dog person, first of all. I gotta say, it is a neat thing with the ADA rules, having the opportunity to have a service dog. But even more than that, I've been in a wheelchair. I'm a paraplegic for 26 years, and my shoulders had started to pull forward and started to really get achy from all the repetitive wheelchair pushing. And so I thought, wow, and a service dog's they can tow you. Well, that's going to be great. So when I got my first service dog, it was amazing. I'd say within the first month or two, having the dog help tow me, it was like I'd had my shoulders completely rebuilt. They relaxed, they didn't hurt, and it's been an amazing, it's almost like having a power chair. It's phenomenal.
But a much cuter power chair.
Yes, a power chair that everybody wants to. Yeah, power chairs, people get a little, sometimes it's a little intimidating. A service dog, everybody wants to come and say hello and ask you about your dog.
Yeah, and being in a manual chair, it gives you so much more flexibility that I use a power chair. And I know sometimes there are places that I can't go because of that. So that's so great that you can maintain your use of your manual chair and have Shotzi to help you.
I got to say, it's been phenomenal. It really has, I think, probably saved my shoulders, A. And the second thing is things like if I've got a big stack of groceries in my lap, or when my daughter was younger, when she was in my lap, she's trained to tow me and go in whatever direction I guide her and stuff. So it enables me to do a lot more, and it's fun.
Yeah, that's so cool. Well, I think it's so interesting that you trained your first dog yourself. So how was that process for you?
Well, I was lucky that I met, through friends of friends, a woman that trains people to train their service dog. Her name is Sherry DeHauer, and I'll have to find her her web because I want to give her a good plug. But she started out working, I think she was a water skier at SeaWorld, but she learned a lot of her things on how to train killer whales. She trained me to train Jaeger, my first service dog, and I'd say at least the first 6 months of our training was more about me learning how to give commands properly and how to handle a dog than really working with Jaeger. I mean, there was, having dogs all my life, I had no idea the proper way to give a dog command.
Yeah, me too. That was a learning curve for me as well when I got my first dog, Ramona, because it's a whole different world when you start handling a dog and having a dog with you 24 hours a day.
Yeah, it is amazing. And it's funny, though, now when I see really good dog trainers and like, wow, all dogs respond to them well. I hope I've learned to give those commands properly, where I know I give the command a certain way and I look the dogs, in the eye and all this kind of stuff. And it seems like they respond a little better to me. Like with Shotzi, sometimes if she's a little slow on a command, I'll just give her a look. And she knows, uh-oh, he's serious. And it's funny. I mean, it's just the scowl, and she immediately hops
I call
to
that the stink eye. And that's what I give Whistle. And sometimes Whistle gives me, actually, as well.
Oh, she'll when she's really upset about something, she'll do the, oh. It's a little sad doggy groan.
Oh, how can you resist that?
Yeah, well, I'm pretty good at it, only that Sherry DeHauer was amazing at teaching me consistency. That was one of the hardest things that I needed to learn. That she said, dogs and kids, it's like, what did she say? It's the same reason a person plays a slot machine. We'll play 99 times if it'll hit out of 100, and a child or a dog will know that if it keeps doing the same begging, and if you 1 out of 100 times, give them that treat, well, okay, I'll just keep doing it.
Yeah, that is so true. Well, I think it's really interesting that you decided to train your dog and to work with Sherry for her to train you. So many of our listeners, they ask me about training their own dog and versus going through an agency. What was your rationale in doing that?
It was interesting. I knew nothing about what it really took to be a service dog when I started out. And so when I talked with Sherry, the first thing my rationale was I knew I didn't know enough to train the dog. And I already, like most people, I thought, I'll get a dog and then I'll train it, not realizing that that's generally setting you up for failure because, as you and I know, not a lot of dogs, no matter how well they're trained, have what it takes to be a service dog. So when I met Sherry, the first thing she said was, I'll be honest with you, my first thing I do is work with you and your dog for a couple of days, and then I'm going to give you an assessment on will your dog be able to be trained for a service dog, because it may be that this just doesn't have the right temperament. We went through that, and she said, I think he's going to work. There's a few little things that, we're going to have to work on. So that's how it worked out. And it was so much more difficult than I ever had imagined. It was a great experience, and I'm glad I did it. But it was really, really difficult. It takes so much consistency and time, which are the two things. The consistency thing, it taught me a lot of discipline.
Yeah, I know. It is such a commitment. That's what I try to share with people, that it's a lifelong commitment. It's, you're not being given a robot. It's a live being that you have to work with and motivate and be really in tune to what their needs are, to what's stressing them out. I mean, it is a huge commitment, and it is a lot of work that really continues. I know Whistle and I have to keep getting recertified after so many months. And I really appreciate that, because it really forces us to keep our skills really fine-tuned, because it is really a daily process, for me at least, in making sure that he stays in that top working condition.
I appreciate that as well. I like the idea of recertifying a service dog. And again, with Jaeger, I got to say, it was a good, solid 2 years until I felt like he was up to par to actually bring him into an establishment that had a no dogs policy. There were so many of the places like, Lowe's and the big stores that anybody can bring their dogs into. I mean, those are the places that we would generally train with. And then other stores when I would say, he's in training, is it okay? But when it came to like a grocery store or something, it took a good solid 2 years before he came, even close to that. So it can be a very long, slow, difficult process. And I also tell people, and it may be at the end of that the dog never gets there. So that's something that people need to realize too, that it is difficult.
Yeah. Well, tell us, Bob, about your work with New Mobility.
To me, it's an amazing job. I think it's a Hemingway, I can't remember whose line it is, but write what you know about. It's not Hemingway, but whoever it is. It's a great write what you know about. And being in the wheelchair world, I love having adventures, and I love hearing about amazing people. And so I get to, a lot of my job entails meeting various people from so many facets of the wheelchair world and writing about their amazing lives and experiences. So I do a lot of that kind of stuff, a lot of profiles, as well as I'm now writing several medical columns. One's called Para/Medic, like I'm a paraplegic. It's advice for not advice, it's options for people that have different things like pain or whatever, which is interesting for somebody that barely made it through high school. Who would have thought, now I've got my college degree, but who would have thought that I'd be a journalist? But I just love it. And the magazine, for people that don't know, is for anybody that uses a wheelchair for any reason. Then we do everything from profiles to adventure and sports, and we just cover the whole gambit of life on wheels: working, love, relationships, medical stuff, everything.
Yeah, I love New Mobility Magazine. I mean, you guys do such a good job of really being honest about what it's like living with a disability. And I loved your article that you wrote on spasticity, that you wrote in about yeah, that was really great, because I've had a lot of issues with spasticity, and I just thought it was so right on as to the information that you shared, and really helping people to navigate and find their ways through that. So I have to have my issue of New Mobility every month. I look so forward to it, to see what the latest information is.
In fact, if I can give us a little plug, you can go to www.newmobility.com, fullest.com. And a lot of our feature articles are always available to just pull up, and then we hope you like them enough that you'll subscribe. So.
Yeah, well, like you said, it's one of those staples for me that I really look forward to every month because you guys cover so much, like you said, of all those topics that really impact individuals' everyday lives. I mean, I always get something out of every issue that I'm cutting out or making a photocopy of to share with other people because it's so helpful.
Well, and as our listeners will now know, you're one of the many amazing people I did get to meet through New Mobility because I, in the August issue, wrote a feature article on service dogs. And in fact, I got the article because I kept touching base with the editor and telling him certain things that were on my mind. I would like to do an article that explains to people the rules on service dogs, and as you and I have discussed, I see more than a few wheelers buying vests online and slapping them on the back of their pet, as well as non-disabled people, and then the pet will say, maybe act aggressive or bark at my service dog, or just be unruly in a restaurant, and it makes me just crazy.
Hold that thought, Bob, because we're going to take a quick break and hear some important messages from our sponsors, and we're going to come back, and I really want to talk about that article and talk about that issue of people and fake service dogs, because I know that's an issue that's really close to your and my heart. So we'll come right back after these quick messages.
We'll be right back, right after these messages. Stay tuned.
Love your pets but wish their medications were a lot less expensive? They are at 1-800-PET-MEDS. You'll not only save on flea and heartworm medications, but on prescriptions for arthritis, incontinence, thyroid, and more. And you get fast service, free shipping, and a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Plus, our licensed pharmacists ensure accuracy, monitor drug interaction, and more. See why over 5 million people have trusted their pet's health to 1-800-PET-MEDS, America's largest pet pharmacy. Call now or order online.
Go to petmeds.com/work, WORK, to get 10% off any order and free shipping on orders of $39 or more at petmeds.com.
How would you like your business to reach out and invite in our audience?
We have a brand new trademark concept called InfoSeeds. InfoSeeds are short 20-second seeds of information about your place of business, practice, or service.
We only have a limited number of slots left. For more information, visit PetLifeRadio.com. Click on sponsorship information.
There you can listen to a sample of InfoSeed or email us at
PetLifeRadio.com. Remember, only a limited number of opportunities are available.
Hi, I'm Angelina. Join me for some great training tips to live a happy, healthy, peaceful life together with your best friend. And by the way, they're not the only ones that learn something new. Join me for Teacher's Pet on Pet Life Radio.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back to Working Like Dogs on Pet Life Radio. And we're visiting today with Bob Vogel. And just before our break, he started talking with us about the August issue of New Mobility magazine, where he did a cover story about service dogs. And so tell us a little bit more about that, Bob.
Well, the article itself covered everything from how to get a service dog to all the amazing things service dogs do. It also went into detail of a service dog. It's almost like being a Navy SEAL, where the washout rate is really, really high. And it takes the perfect dog with the perfect temperament. So very few dogs can actually become a service dog. And then in order to get there, you've got like $50,000 worth of training and all this stuff. And so when somebody that has an official service dog sees somebody that just has slapped a vest on their pet, and the pet's barking, acting aggressively, table surfing, meaning, grabbing stuff off a table at a restaurant, it does two things. To me, it is pretty much a slap in the face of the ADA rules, and it also makes my dog look bad, or anybody that's put all the time and effort into it. So that was one of the main reasons that I wrote that article, is I wanted to get across to people what the rules are, A, and B, it's really not cool. We get really up in arms when somebody borrows their grandma's placard, a non-disabled person, and parks in a handicapped spot, or just doesn't even pay attention and parks in a handicapped spot. Yet sometimes the same people think it's okay to, well, I'm in a wheelchair, I'll just take my pet wherever I want to go.
I know. Well, I've even had friends ask me if they could borrow my service dog's vest, which I've been like, are you kidding me? No, you can't borrow that vest. Vest is sacred. And like you said, we worked so hard to earn that. And people just don't realize that not only is it not cool and they should not be doing it, but they're jeopardizing our access rights and our need to have our dogs with us. That if dogs are in these public places and acting inappropriately and behaving really badly, that it jeopardizes it for all of us. I just heard of an incident. I go to Craig Hospital, and they were just telling me this week that now they've started restricting some areas for where service assistance dogs can go. And I was so sad to hear that. And they said, oh, yeah, we had a bad experience. And they didn't elaborate on what that was, but that was my guess, that it was somebody who had a dog that really wasn't trained and certified and had no business being in that public area.
Exactly. And that's the problem, is a bad experience. And so let's say what it sets up for, let's say I go and take Shotzi into a restaurant, and I'm sure you've seen this too, where a proper service dog is essentially invisible. They just sort of disappear. So I'll be eating, and at the end of people will leave the restaurant, and they'll look there, oh my goodness, there's a German Shepherd under the table. I never knew. She's so quiet. She's so well behaved. And so it leaves the restaurant with a good feeling of, oh, this is a good thing. It just takes one person with a pet in a vest that maybe growls at another customer or grabs food off the table to completely ruin that. And then the owner is now saying, the whole ADA is a sham. I don't like it. It's forcing me to do bad stuff. So it's, again, a service dog owner, handler, it comes with a lot of responsibility to keep our dogs well groomed. And that's one of the things. It's not just this easy rubber stamp, here's your dog. It does come, if you're not willing to put the time in to somehow keep the dog groomed, pay a groomer, put the time in to keep the training up, then it's probably not for you.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I think that's very well put, and it is such a responsibility. And it's hard for people, if you haven't been in the assistance dog world and been exposed to assistance dogs, it's hard for people, I think, to really understand the level of that responsibility and the training and all of that goes into giving us the public access right and giving us the right to take our dogs into these very public places. And I love that you say the dogs are supposed to disappear, because that's exactly what I was told when I got my first dog, Ramona, that it was the old saying, how they used to say children are to be seen and not heard. Well, that's what they told me about my service dog. They can be seen but not heard, that they really need to be invisible when out in public.
Exactly. And one of my points is I think everybody with a disability should have the opportunity to have a service dog. I mean, they're wonderful, amazing. They really enhance your life, and there's so many organizations that Pause for a Cause. Did I say that right?
Pause with a Cause?
Oh, with a Cause. I'm sorry, I get that. Pause with a Cause, Canine Companions. There's so many wonderful organizations that will offer a dog at no cost to a person. So there's many ways to get it. However, again, it is a big responsibility, and it isn't for everybody. So that's one of the things that's important. One of the things I wrote in my article is, because so many people were abusing just taking their pet everywhere, a lot of it was sort of Hollywood. I'll blame it on some maybe Hollywood actresses that were taking their little purse dogs. Like, oh, this is my emotional support dog. And so the Department of Justice had to crack down and change the rules. And I think you may have written about it, but it's because of that they had to crack down and change things. And if people continue to abuse the rules, I know several organizations I've spoken with are saying, well, the next thing may be mandatory licensing. And, I don't know. I know a lot of people are against that. Quite frankly, in my opinion, it would probably be a good idea. But that's a whole different can of worms.
I know. That is a big issue that is looming out there, though, that I think is going to have to be addressed in the near future because of that, because of people misusing and misrepresenting their pets. But I loved your article on how you did have the Department of Justice rules. I thought that was really helpful, how you listed those out in a really easy, bulleted way so your readers could really get their arms around what those rules and expectations are.
Yeah, exactly. And I think one of the other things that I really like in the article is this friend of mine, Paul, who's a quadriplegic. He's trained 2 service dogs now, and he's an amazing trainer. His dogs are phenomenal. I've never seen dogs trained so well. But he's one of those guys in my article. I say he will, if he sees somebody with a questionable dog that's acting out, he'll go right up to him and say, he'll call them out. And he says that generally they'll be, the people that are cheating the system most are the most indignant. And I was like, well, this is my service dog. I'm in a wheelchair. And he says, yes, but you have a responsibility to bring your dog's behavior up to a certain standard. And until you do, you should not have this dog out in public establishments.
Yeah. Well, tell us, what was some of the feedback that you got from your article?
I'd say 95% of it was just positive. Well, a lot of people are glad just to know how and where to get service dogs, just the options. That was really good. And then so many people with service dogs wrote in to say thank you very much, because unfortunately this is a problem. The pets in a vest that are acting unruly are making it difficult for people. So there was just absolute positive feedback. There was 1 or 2 folks that thought I was being too strict. But again, to me, that we need a base set of rules, and I think it was Sherry DeHauer's quote, may have been yours, that said when service dogs first sort of came into existence, the only other dog out there was a seeing eye dog, and she said a blind person wouldn't just take their pet dog out and have it lead them around the city; they'd be killed. So it was never an issue when it was first created. Nobody thought it that far ahead, and so she said that's one of the reasons now that, and it would literally be like a completely blind person having Bowser lead him around.
Well, that's it. And it is unsafe, which is really the bottom line, that it's very unsafe for the individual with the disability and for people with other types of working dogs and for just individuals in general. Because I've seen some pretty bad situations. I was at a conference and with my second dog, Morgan, and there was a woman there with an untrained German Shepherd, and that German Shepherd attacked my assistant's dog in the middle of this conference when I was having to speak. So it was not a fun situation. And the conference leaders would not ask her to leave because it was a disability conference and they felt awkward. And it was really a bad situation.
That would have been one of those things where I may have ended up with foot and mouth disease. One of the things that hopefully my article points out is that business owners do have the right, if a dog is barking, acting aggressively, grabbing stuff off of tables, they do have a right to tell a person, and this is a slippery, it's a kind of a, it's on the razor's edge here, but if the dog is acting out and creating a danger or a problem in the business, they can ask the person, the person can stay, but the dog needs to leave.
Right.
And again, it's spelled out very clearly in the ADA what business owners' rights are. And right now, they're sort of scared they can't say anything about, they think they can't say anything about a person with a service dog. So it's a very difficult subject at this point.
Yeah, it is. And I think you're right that we as a society are going to have to deal with it. It is going to be an issue where we're going to have to come up with something as more people have more dogs out in public and it becomes more of a serious issue. Yeah. Well, I know our time is running so short, and I just have enjoyed talking with you so much, Bob. And I know you have one story you want to share with us.
Yeah, one of the wonderful things about service dogs is Shotzi will tow me, and when my daughter she's 10 now, and she was littler, she would ride on my lap, and so Shotzi would tow me, and that was really fun for her, and she taught me Shotzi's command for speed up is squirrels. And then to run flat out, it's double squirrels. And one of my favorite things is when she was younger, she'd ride on my lap, and we'd go on a long, smooth surface, and she'd Shotzi, squirrels, double squirrels, and Shotzi would get into a flat-out run, and I could feel her bones and her muscles working as she's just running really fast, and Sarah would hold her arms out and say, "Daddy, I'm flying. It was just wonderful, and we hadn't done that in a while because she's getting older. She's 10 now, and so this summer we were coming back from the post office. She says, "Dad, can I ride on your lap and have Shotzi tow me and tow us?" And I said, "Yeah," and we had a lot of fun, and of course she's so big now I can barely see over her head, and it's one of those bittersweet moments where I was like, wow, this is the last time that she'll be able to be on my lap and get towed. So, it was one of those. It was sweet and wonderful that she's getting older, and kind of sad that we won't be able to do that anymore.
Yeah. What a magical moment, though, for all three of you. That's really beautiful.
Thanks.
Well, tell our listeners, Bob, because I know that you do a lot of online things. How can they communicate with you or read more about you and your work with New Mobility?
The easiest way to get in touch with me, again, is to go to newmobility.com. There's a place in there where you can search in back issues and stuff. If you type my name in, you'll see all kinds of different articles. And any of the articles that pull up, there's a place down below for comments, and those will go to me, and so you can get in touch with me. I also write a couple different columns for New Mobility. So, for instance, the paramedic column, anything like that will go directly to me. So it's easy to get in touch. You can have positive comments, or I welcome negative comments too, because a lot of times that's the way I learn.
Yep, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being with us today, and I hope you'll come back and talk with us about other topics that you're working on, because I know you're always doing really cool projects, and I know our listeners would love to hear about them.
Thank you for having me, and keep up the great work, too. I love your show.
Thanks so much, Bob. And thank you, our listeners, for being with us. We love you and love you joining us. And we also love getting your emails. So please don't hesitate to give us your thoughts. And you can email me at Marcie, MARCIE, at PetLifeRadio.com. And you can also follow Working Like Dogs on Facebook and Twitter. So thanks so much for being with us, and we look forward to being with you again soon. Take good care.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.